Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, and welcome to World Warships development blog. Normally we'd have a ship highlight on Friday, and I don't have a good video just sitting for me to use, and I tried to do some live commentary games on NA with Venezia, but it was just a complete crap fest in randoms, so I can't be bothered. So the goal would be Monday, Tuesday to do Venezia, because I'm just fed up with randoms and teams. That's what I get for sometimes trying to do the live commentary and give you guys a more accurate representation of the ship strengths, but when your teams are just complete bust and I can't actually play a battle long enough to show you the Venezia, then I'm not going to showcase the ship if that's how the randoms are going to go. So we're going to look at the balance changes, public test 12.5. I'm not going to go through this really long dragged out. I just want to make some highlights about some things they're doing. They're doing a lot of balance changes here, like a lot. So it's amazing how much they're doing. And I think if I can, I need to have two tabs for this. There's a lot of things they're doing, particularly with Italian ships, German destroyers, Japanese cruisers, and a number of other ships as well, including the Smoke Generator Modification 1 upgrade and the X-Ray Papa Uno 1 signal. So the Smoke Generator Modification 1 upgrade, the action time bonus is reduced from 30 to 20%. So that means that's a nerf, so that's gonna be, and I think this typically goes in your third slot. So then that means you get a nerf on the action time. But they removed the negative 5% penalty to the smoke dispersal time. So your smoke will stay longer, essentially, when you take the smoke generator modification. So you're not losing that penalty. So it's kind of you have a nerf and then you have a buff. And then the upgrade is now going to be available for tier 5 through tier 10 ships that use the exhaust smoke generator consumable. So this is so you have just your normal smoke screen, but then the exhaust smoke generator is something that you see on the Italian ships in particular, destroyers, cruisers, the battleships. So that's actually a buff. So the Italians are going to benefit really well from this. And also I wanted to make note, one of the reasons why I'm doing this dev blog is because there's so much in this dev blog, the little ones, I'm you can just read it yourself, or there'll probably another WoW's content creator who covers it, but there's just a lot going on in this one, and I want to make sure to bring it to your attention. The X-Ray Papa signal reduces the bonus given to the smoke generator's action time from plus 15% to plus 10%. So that's a combat signal you take. I take it on Venezia, so I have a longer action time, because this combat signal does work for the exhaust smoke generator, not just only smoke generators. Take it at 46-second smoke screen dispersion action time with my Venezia. So this is a bit of a nerf, but it's not too bad, going from the plus 15 to plus 10%. I think ultimately the ships that are going to be most affected in a very negative fashion from this would be the Smoke Harugumo or Smoke Minotaur. But on the other hand, their smoke screen dispersion time is going to last longer when you're using the legendary module or unique upgrade with the Venezia and with the Harugumo. So that's just something to keep in mind, but I think otherwise this is pretty much a buff all around. The Perth, that ship, Mysore, Haida, Hector, and Vampire 2, the duration of the crawling smoke generator consumable has been increased from 90 to 102 seconds. So you have a longer crawling smoke generator on these 6 ships in particular. So good to see. Smoke generator modification 1 will now become available to mount for all Italian ships with access to the exhaust smoke generator consumable. In the current game version, this upgrade together with the X-Ray Papa Uno 1 signal would give Italian ships quite a significant advantage, so we've tweaked their settings. To ensure that the changes don't reduce the effectiveness of ships mounting the crawling smoke generator, the base action time of this consumable has been increased. The tier 5 Italian battleship, they've increased the sigma from 1.6 to 1.7, so that's just the likelihood of your shells landing in the center of the target. And we know that the Italian battleships have pretty terrible dispersion in general. The tier 6 Italian destroyer Leon, the number of smoke generator charges increased from 2 to 3. Torpedo reload time reduced 60 to 50 seconds. Okay, that's a pretty good buff, because I think you don't ever see this ship, and I'm pretty sure this ship was considered to be more weaker, so you didn't ever really see it. So this is probably quite good for the Leon, if I'm pronouncing that right. Then you have the Duca d'Aosta and Duca degli Abruzzi. The number of depth charges dropped per weapon charge has been increased from 2 to 4. And I don't remember if those had ship-based or they were plane-based depth charges. So it says just depth charges, so I'm assuming this is ship-based. So wow, you only had 2 depth charges. Okay, well that's going to be 4, so then 8 in total, because assuming you get 2 charges. The FR Italian destroyer tier 7. FR25, the main battery reload time was reduced from 6.6 to 5.8. Torpedo range increased 6 to 7. Okay, that's welcome. That's another Italian destroyer you just never really seen in the game very much. And then the Italian destroyers Adriatico, the Tech Tree, and the Regalo at tier 10. They allowed the mounting of the fire control system modification to upgrade in the 6th slot. Okay, so that means you're going to be extending the gun range on your gunfire control system. You're going to have a longer range now on those Italian destroyers. That kind of changes things a little bit, because this line was really known to, it doesn't have a long gun range. Like some of the line, your torpedoes go longer than the actual gun range. So this is good to see. So that'll be interesting to see how that changes the playstyle perhaps a little bit of these 2 ships. They also have the exhaust smoke generator, so Perth, the number of depth charges dropped per charge has been increased from 1 to 2. Wow, they only gave it 1 depth charge. The tier 9 Hector, which I think is kind of similar to Neptune, if I remember correctly. Torpedo range increased from 10 to 12 kilometers. The wide torpedo spread option has been replaced with a narrow one. That's actually cool. That's a definite buff, because you can do some sick things with the narrow torp spread. Citadel damage restored increased from 10 to 50%. Oh, this definitely got buffed then. Alright, Hector, you might see a little more Hector in randoms and comp, maybe. I don't know. Maybe even clan battles? Question mark. The German destroyers, the tier 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the premium cruiser Emden at tier 2, and then the tier 2 German cruiser, the Dresden, and the Kolberg. The penetration of the main battery HE shells with a caliber of 105mm has been increased from 18 to 26mm. Okay, so that's a buff in terms for these mid-low tier ships, mostly low tier. The tier 5 German destroyer, the T-22, has a torpedo reload time reduced from 68 to 61 seconds. Okay, not bad. I've played the V-22 or T-22, and it's okay, but having a little buff on the reload time is welcomed. Oh, and also the main battery reload time reduced from 4 to 3.6 seconds. Okay, that's going to mean that you might gives the T-22 a little bit more of a edge, because I often like playing Nicholas at tier 5. So then compare that with the German Hydro, kind of makes this a little bit better. The German destroyers, the tier 7 Z31, the tier 8 Gustav, the tier 9 the Schultz, in the tier 10 the Elbing. They added the engine boost consumable to a separate slot. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, okay, that's definitely going to be interesting to see that played out. Like Elbing is like basically it's like a pocket cruiser. It's a cruiser with no citadel. So just the fact that, you know, with those nasty AP salvos of Elbing, you can clap ships quite well, and then having the engine boost means that you're probably going to mitigate damage a little bit, just because you're running faster, and then if you're able to use propulsion a bit. So that's definite buff for these German destroyers. The tier 7 Z31, the main battery reload time was reduced from 8 to 7 seconds. Also really good to see here. This is good timing, because I'm about to start working on finally going up the German destroyer line. There's so many lines to grind in the game, and I'm like trying to keep up with the new ship lines they've been introducing. So that would be cool to see and play up that line now. The Tier 8 Premium Z35, the main battery 180-degree turn time reduced to 22.5 to 10 seconds. This is a ship I hardly ever see this ship ever. I forgot it existed. The parameters of the hydroacoustic search consumable have been changed. Now it's similar to the hydroacoustic search consumable from New York. I wonder if that just means it's a longer ranged hydro. Interesting. The Bretagne, Tier 5 French battleship. The sigma value increased from 1.8 to 1.9 seconds, so that means better. It's a buff. Higher the number, the better. And your main battery 180-degree turn time reduced from 60 to 45 seconds. Okay, that's really nice. So I've been working on going up this line right now, and I love the Bretagne. And so this is even cooler. Like, I haven't lost a battle in Bretagne yet. I think I've only played like 10, 11 games. But I have some like really sick stats with this ship, so I wanted to circle back with it with a higher level commander after I go up the line. So I'm probably going to be revisiting this in the future because Bretagne is a pretty decent French Tier 5 battleship. The Tier 5, we just call it, okay, the Verbis Unitus. Sigma value increased from 1.8 to 1.9. Main battery load time reduced from 30 to 29. Okay, that's a buff. I have this ship. It's okay, but sometimes you're like, if the dispersion was a little bit better, it'd be nicer. But then also now we see that happening, and then the reload time being buffed. That's also good. The Tier 8 European destroyer, the Oland. Main battery load time reduced from 2.5 to 2.3 seconds. Okay, I think Oland's okay. But having that buff to the reload time, I think, was going to actually help the ship in general in being a Tier 8 destroyer. Because sometimes Tier 8 destroyers don't get so much love and attention. They're kind of like okay, then once you get to Tier 9, Tier 10, typically you start seeing things a lot better. So it's nice that they're paying attention to the ship. The British Tier 5 heavy cruiser, the Hawkins, which is a terrible ship in my opinion. As of now, detectability range by sea reduced from 12.2 to 11.5 kilometers. That's definitely good, so shaved off 0.7 kilometers there. All other types of detectability reduced accordingly. Okay, so like probably your gunfire bloom, like smoke firing penalty. And the main battery reload time reduced from 11.7 to 10.5 seconds. Wow, that's really good. They took a 1.2 seconds off the reload time. Because you really have to show a lot of broadside to get all your guns off with Hawkins on your starboard or port side. So that's a definitely good thing, because this ship was pretty trash. You don't see this Tier 5 much. You see, Omaha. I'd rather play Omaha for sure over the Hawkins. And Omaha is actually a pretty good ship. Just, you're likely to get death struck. Tier 6 Repulse. Now, I'm not looking down yet, but I think this ship's pretty strong in general already. I quite like playing the Repulse. Kind of sad that I didn't pick it up out of the dockyard on the EU server, because you could have gotten it just for free by grinding, so I kind of wish I would have gotten it, but I have it on NA. Main battery load time reduced, 27-25 seconds. Okay, you only get 6 guns, but they smash, so that's definite buff. Number of repair party charges has been increased by 1. Wow. Okay, that's nice, because I've gone through all heals before, because you only get a limited number of heals on Repulse, so definite buff on Repulse. And Leander, this poor ship. Wargaming has been targeting this ship with nerfs over the last year. They're going to be reducing the main battery reload time. They're increasing it from 8.5 to 9 seconds. So if I go over here and I pull up Leander, so there was this blog where they increased the reload time from 8 to 8.5, okay. And then Leander again. Wait, I skipped it. No, I thought they said Leander was in this. Oh, bug fixes. I think it's the next one down. Reload time increased from 7.7 to 8 seconds. And did they... And then it was at 1.7.5 seconds. Wow. Yeah. So then we're back to 9 seconds. So at one point in time, the Leander used to have a 7.5 second reload time. And then they kept nerfing the ship repeatedly. So you got from 7.5 to 9 seconds. And what, this was 10.4 when they first started doing this. So this was back in April of last year. So no, it wasn't it's 2021. And it's amazing to me that I actually even remember them nerfing Leander, because I quite liked Leander at tier 6 when ops used to be locked at tier 6 besides Narai. So they've been nerfing the ship over 2 years now. Oh, this poor ship. It's still a really good ship, but it sucks that they've been nerfing the reload time so bad. The tier 8 premium Hampshire British cruiser. Main battery reload time reduced from 10.5 to 10 seconds. Detectability range by sea reduced 12 to 11.5. All other types of detectability reduced accordingly. Okay, that's buff. Indianapolis, tier 7 American premium heavy cruiser. The thickness of the bow and stern plating has been increased from 16 to 25 millimeter. Okay, I think that's definitely a good thing, because I was always amazed that they called this a tier 7 heavy cruiser, but the bow and stern armor was so weak. I come from Indiana, so I've been waiting. I haven't picked up the ship yet, but I was like, okay, it's supposed to be a heavy cruiser, but it looks like more of a light cruiser in terms of the bow and stern armor. So the fact that they increased up 25 millimeter, really welcome, especially when you're seeing tier 9s. So that's going to help Indianapolis out a lot. The tier 8 American cruiser Anchorage. This was a dockyard ship 2 years ago, I think. The hydroacoustic search consumable has been moved to a separate slot. Oh, okay. I think you had to choose between hydro. Was it hydro and... I don't know if we had to switch between hydro and like defensive AA, or if it was hydro and spotter plane. I don't remember now. But Anchorage doesn't have a radar. It's just known for its smoke, and it's got torps. I think they're Benson torps, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe they might be Fletcher torps. So that's actually good, because you don't actually see the ship too much. Yeah. North Carolina and the North Carolina CLR, their premium version of the tech tree, American Tier 8 battleship, is going to get buffed to its Sigma value, increase from 2.0 to 2.05. This is really cool. I think North Carolina was fine where it was. This is a ship that you would see in King of the Seas when it was when it locked it to tier 8. I still remember a King of Seas tournament. I think it was the grand final, and I think it was 07 was playing against, I don't remember what clan, but I remember Potato Quality pulling off some really cool things with North Carolina. It's a really well-rounded, balanced tier 8 battleship. So cool to see it's getting a little bit of attention. So the tier 8 premium Siliwangi. The number of depth charges per weapon charge has been increased from 2 to 10. Wow, they only let you have 2 depth charges with this ship? Wow, the people playing this are going to like that. To 10. Main battery, 180 degree rotation time, reduced from 18.6 to 9. Yeah, I'd say this ship needed some attention. The tier 8 cruiser, the Wukong, and Pan Asian. Torpedo reload time reduced from 107 to 85 seconds. Wow. That's a pretty big jump there. It's like a 30, no, to 85, 95. Yeah, it's a 22 second reduction. Sejong, Pan American or Pan Asian cruiser, excuse me. Main battery reload time reduced from 5.2 to 4.8 seconds. Torpedo reload time reduced from 133 to 125 seconds. That's cool, because I'm also working on this line right now too. So nice to see a buff on that line. So now for some Russian ships. Tier 5 cruiser, the Kotovsky. Detectability range by sea reduced from 11.6 to 10.7. That's a buff, so all other types of detectability reduced accordingly. Good to see. Main battery reload time 9 to 8.2 seconds, so definitely a buff for Kotovsky. The Podvoisky, detectability range by sea reduced from 7.5 to 7.1. Ooh, that's really good. And all the types of detectability reduced accordingly. Podvoisky, it's also another tier 5 destroyer. I like Nicholas, I like playing. So the fact that they reduced her concealment means you can get a little bit closer into these gun engagements with destroyers and taking them out. And they have a short range torpedo range, but it tend to have a quicker reload time. So that's really cool to see. The Tier 8 Russian destroyer, the Kiev, or I should say Soviet Union. Detectability range by sea reduced from 8.7 to 8.5. Detectability range by air increased from 3.6 to 3.9. Detectability after firing main guns and smoke reduced from 3.5 to 3.4. By air increased. Detectability range by air. Oh, that's weird. So they reduced it by sea, but by air, they nerfed it. So now you're going to be seeing even more easily with the Kiev. I mean, it's a gunboat line, and they tend to have pretty air concealment anyhow, so it's a trade-off of some buffs. I think I would take this trade, even though I'm going to be spotted more easily by air, but yeah, overall buff. Tashkent, Tier 9 Soviet destroyer. Detectability range by sea reduced from 9.1 to 8.9. Detectability range by air increased 4 to 4.3. Detectability after firing main guns and smoke reduced from 3.7 to 3.6 kilometers. Okay, cool. I like this. I have a video I want to do at some point. I've been wanting to do this video for actually like a year since I went up this line. Tashkent has a really good reload time on her torpedoes. I think they're 9 kilometer, I think they're 9 kilometer torpedoes. I'm not so sure. Not sure. How's Tashkent? Let's look. No, they're 8s. Okay. So you had when you played. Okay, this is just standard though. Right. So depending on if you went with a gun reload build. And you kind of forsake concealment, it meant that you couldn't stealth fire torpedo. But the torpedoes reload so quick on Tashkent. They have 69-second reload time before you even build into them. And I had a really good Tashkent game this one time. I think I put it up on YouTube. If I did, I'll link it at the end of this video. And these torps do 15,100 damage, and they go 60 knots, so you can build into that as well. But with this buff to your concealment, I've been wanting to try out a torpedo build Tashkents. Also because the racks, because we have a lot of dynamite going off now. Doing some building. Holy cow. You have a 3x3, so it means you have 9 torpedoes. So when they're reloading, before you build into them every 69 seconds, whoa. Like, I think it's possible to do a Tashkent torpedo build. Moving on swiftly, we're getting to the end here with the Japanese ships. Tier 5 Mitsuki, torpedo reload time reduced from 73 to 65 seconds. Okay, that's welcome, because Mitsuki's like, it's okay, but it's not that great. So that's good buff. Tier 6 Fubuki, the main battery reload time reduced from 8 to 7.5. Also good to see. Mogami, the reload time of the upgraded main battery module reduced from 15 to 14 seconds. That's definitely good to see. So Mogami will have a bit better time. So much more superior than the Shimanto. Shimanto is a piece of crap. Ibuki, main battery reload time reduced from 13.7 to 13 seconds. Good to see, good to see. That's so crazy. Like, the heavy cruiser line has a better reload time than that light cruiser line. I don't understand. Zao, main battery 180 degree rotation time reduced to 36 to 30 seconds. I mean, that's good, but I don't think that's the problem with Zao Wargaming. I mean, they buffed the health pool, but it's that range. It's that range of Zao. Omono, oh, okay, some buffs on this line. Omono, main battery load time reduced to 13 to 11.5 seconds. Thank you, Wargaming. Wow. 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 Can't believe they finally did it. Main battery 180 degree rotation time reduced from 36 to 30 seconds. Yeah, that's something that was dumb to me. When you go from a mono to Shimanto, your turret traverse time is in like 36 to like 6-7 seconds. I don't remember. So yeah, Shimanto. No reload time buff. Full rudder shift time reduced from 15.1 to 11.3. Full rudder shift time with the researchable hull reduced from 10.8 to 8.1. Okay, thank you for that. Because it was a light cruiser that felt like it behaved like a heavy cruiser and maybe even some battle cruisers. So you would have to, if you're kiting and you want to get all your front turrets off, the rudder shift time just made it painful. It wasn't almost worth it because you just get clapped because you're a light cruiser and you're showing more side. Takahashi looks like they did the same with full rudder shift time reduced from 16 to 12 seconds. Good to see. Full rudder shift time with the researchable hull reduced from 11.4 to 8.5 seconds. Wow, that's quite six. Yeah, okay, so now 12 seconds to 8.5. Yodo. Full rudder shift time reduced to 12.1 to 9 seconds. Wow. That's amusing because to me, the Shimanto, Takahashi, and Yodo, if you're gonna make these ships relevant, A, reduce the reload time on the guns so they're not worse than the heavy cruiser line or comparable to. B, buff the torpedoes in terms of their detectability range and reducing them because they're detectable from the moon. So I think Wargaming completely missed on the... I mean, they did get one thing right, and that was the rudder shift time. I would have rather seen... I care more about my guns and torps with this line. So I would have liked to have seen them buff the guns or reduce the detectability range of the torpedoes from like, what, they're like 2 kilometers to like 1 or something like that. But they did get a mono right, but I don't think a lot of people are going to be playing a mono. I don't think it's that great of a tier 7 light cruiser. Wow, so a lot of upcoming changes to ships in the game. So this is going to take place in update 12.5. It's a public test of 12.5, so we just went into 12.4 like, what, last week or a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. So I think the clear winners when we're going through here, I mean, you have some ships that are really going to pop out more, like Repulse, Indianapolis, Sejong, the Soviet Union destroyers, some buffs for the Japanese destroyers. Definitely needed attention. They needed to do some sort of buff. So I'll take any buff than no buffs to the Japanese light cruiser line. But I think the biggest winners here are going to be your Italian ships with the exhaust smoke generator. Now that they can take the how do I say this? I'm gonna read it. Yeah, the smoke generator modification becoming available to mount on all the Italian ships. So that's probably definitely a buff. So it'll be interesting to see. I actually need to check and see my how much research bureau points I have, because I really want to take the unique upgrade legendary mod on Venezia, because I think that would just help me out so much more. Because you just having that smoke come back was so much better, and now that's going to last a lot longer. Granted, you have to give up that -7% dispersion horizontally and vertically, so yeah, so let's see. So if you liked me going over this dev blog today, let me know by giving the video a thumbs up, or if you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe if you do want to see more. If you subscribe, thanks so much. I would appreciate it, as we're on our way to 1,500 subscribers, so we're going to have a big, we're going to be on Twitch, celebrating that on the NA and EU, doing Ops Community Day. You can div with me. We'll play some operations. It'll be really good stuff. Normally, of course, I don't cover development blogs, but this just had so much things happening, and I wanted to just point a couple things out. Poor Leander. And then we'll circle back on Monday, Tuesday with Venezia. I'll check and see if I have enough research bureau points to pick up the legendary mod for Venezia. So I don't know if I want to do that or not if I do have it, but I'm going to look. So until next time, take care.